Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Weeknights with Wonder Girls. I'm Cheryl.
And I'm Mabel. TGIF, everyone. Do you have a good second week in phase 1 of post-circuit breaker? This evening, we are visiting the smallest island state of Australia, Tasmania. Have you been to Tasmania before? Or are you excited to find out more about this lovely Aussie state? Type TAS in the comments to let us know. Please give us a like and share this live session. Keep the engagement up because tonight we are giving away 2 cans of Tasmania leatherwood honey, courtesy from Tourism Tasmania, to 2 viewers with the highest engagement.
Looking back, who is the lucky viewers to walk away with a prize from last week's broadcast? We would like to congratulate Ving CL, who has won a 500 ml bottle of Kundao hair shampoo in baby powder fragrance.
Congratulations!
Congratulations, Ving! Meanwhile, allow me to share a little bit about ourselves if you are new to Travel Wonder. Travel Wonder is a licensed online and offline travel company based in Singapore. We specialize in active holidays. Join us in the future if you are looking for cycling, hiking, or running holidays overseas. We are also good in bespoke travel. We can plan all sorts of vacations that you desire, such as romantic getaways, rest and relaxation trips, or even family fun trips according to your requirement. Our website is www.travel-wonder.com. Remember to check us out when you are ready to travel.
Thank you very much to everyone who has been accompanying us for the past Friday evenings. If you have already won a prize, we will pass the chance of winning to another viewer with the highest engagement so that everybody has a chance to win something. After you have won, we'll put you back into the draw after a 2 weeks break. Nevertheless, keep your comments and questions flowing in regardless if you win a prize tonight. This evening, we are very happy to have Ms BlessAnn from Tourism Tasmania to share more about this lovely island state of Australia. Before we invite BlessAnn online, tell us what comes to your mind when you think of Tasmania. Share with us more in the comments.
Tasmania Devil and Tasmania cherries. You know, Tasmania cherries are really, really very good. Perhaps we should ask BlessAnn to tell us more later on.
Yeah, sounds good. And
Yeah.
all very excited. I see a lot of them typing tests. There's Faustina, Savannah,
Oh,
Uncle Lau is here
yeah.
also.
Wow. So many people is here.
Yes.
So without further delay, please join us to welcome BlessAnn from Tourism Tasmania.
Hello,
Hi,
everyone.
Bless.
Hello, good
Hello.
evening.
Hello. Hi, Cheryl. Hi, Mabel. Thank you so much for having me. And good afternoon. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us on a Friday night. Must be so good to sort of join this conversation and really dream of traveling, hopefully, really, really soon. And I'm really happy to be here and take you on the imaginary couch surf to Tasmania tonight.
Yeah, our audience are very, very excited.
Yes.
Yeah.
And already questions are coming in. So
Oh, really?
Yeah, I saw a question for Adeline already.
That's fast.
Yes. Okay, so
Ah.
before we answer the questions on that, we will leave it to the end of the session.
We also have
And
one endorsement. Jaren Chen said Tasmania is one of the best places to visit in Australia.
yeah,
Thank you, Jared.
Ah. Yeah, wow, really, I see questions coming. You see, before even you start presenting, we already have
yeah,
questions for Tasmania.
yes, correct. And Uncle Lau has been saying that he has been longing to visit Tasmania for many years, eager to watch the dolphins cruising along the boat.
Wow, I'm sure Bless later you will be able to share with us more of all these experiences that everybody was like so eager to see.
For sure. Yeah, very excited.
So to our viewers, please continue to give us many likes, comment, and share the broadcast. Remember, we have 2 cans of Tasmania leatherwood honey to be given away tonight. If you have questions about Tasmania, feel free to put them in the comments and we will respond later during the Q&A session. Now it's time to take a back seat and enjoy the presentation.
Before BlessAnn takes over the presentation, I'd like to share a couple of slides with everybody. Our website is www.travel-wonder.com. On our website, you'll be able to find all the active leisure holidays that we have planned. For our trips to Australia, where you can find them, on our website, search under Destination Australia. Please subscribe to our mailing list if you have not done so. We send out our e-newsletter every Friday to keep you up to date on what's going on at Travel Wonder. Visit our social media page on Facebook and YouTube to see all our past trips, photos, and videos. Remember to continue to like, share, and comment because we have 2 cans of Tasmanian leatherwood honey to be given away tonight.
Okay, great. Hello, everyone. Again, welcome to Tasmania, our beautiful, beautiful island. I'm a strong believer that each of us, secretly inside, as long as you love travel, we're all secretly sort of islanders inside, and we really travel for the fresh air and the fresh produce and all that. And so if you're like me and you love the feeling of when you're traveling and you reach such a big waterfall, or when you're hiking up the mountain and you feel so small, and I think, to me personally, those are the moments I live for, and that's why I love really about traveling. So yeah, without further ado, welcome to Tasmania's great outdoors. Whilst we say the great outdoors, I will take you through some of the more distinctive or signature experiences in Tasmania. Now, when you have questions and everything, again, feel free to comment in the chat box and all that, and I'll be happy to answer that. Doesn't need to be outdoors, can be about food, animals, and all that. I'll be very, very happy to share my experiences there. Okay, so getting to Tasmania now, if you're familiar with Australia, so there are multiple sort of main cities, and so where Tasmania is, we're actually located on the southern side of Australia. So we're an island off of Australia. So where you can see is from Singapore, obviously the closest one will be Perth, followed by all the way to the west coast. So the nearest flight that comes to Tasmania is actually from Melbourne. So if you land in Melbourne, all it takes is about an hour flight to come to Tasmania. Right, so it's actually really, really convenient. Now, whilst we don't have a direct flight per se, we've got 40 overflights that come that travel from the main state to Tasmania every day. So there's no reason not to come to Tasmania in that sense. Actually, I do know of a lot of people who like to come to Tasmania, do the whole walking, enjoying, relaxing, and just to really chill out. And then, jump back into the main state of Australia, whether it's Melbourne or Sydney, etc., and pick up a coffee, do a bit of shopping, and then, go back to Singapore with their luggage full. Those to me is actually one of the best trips as well. Yeah. So fun fact, I don't know if you guys might know this. It's actually that Tasmania is actually located at the southernmost point of the hemisphere already. So past the southernmost point of Tasmania is just water and ocean all the way until Antarctica. So it's quite interesting because if you go to Hobart, which is like the main city in Tasmania, you will see big ships or boats that are actually used for research expedition to go to the Antarctica. And whilst it is not available for tourists right now, it's really for work purposes. I thought it was pretty cool because that means that when you come to Australia, you're truly at the edge of the world. The other way that you can come to Tasmania, especially for those who like to self-drive on your holidays, some people like to go to Melbourne first, for example, and do a short drive. Now, one other way to get to Tasmania is if you take the Spirit of Tasmania. So that's actually an overnight ferry ride, and you actually depart from Port Melbourne, and then you will come down to Tasmania through Devonport. So this is an overnight ferry. So you embark at about 7 p.m. or so, and you reach the next day at about 7 a.m. The reason for it is actually because between Australia, the main state, and Tasmania, we've got a whole gap of water, and that vessel of water is actually very strong currents. So it does take an overnight ferry to get here. So that's a 12-hour one. But so when you get onto the ship and everything, you can enjoy your lounge. On the right hand side of the picture, you can see that. Okay, so it's really comfortable. If not, you can just top up to get a bed to just rest your head. Okay. So this is a close-up map of Tasmania. You'll be able to see that the Strait of Tasmania that I was talking about just now comes down from Devonport. Okay. So the other flights that you can come in is via Hobart, which is here, the south side. Now this is the biggest city, followed by Launceston. So these are the three access points that you can come down to. Now, some people might ask how big really is Tasmania, because actually compared to Australia, Tasmania looks quite small. But actually Tasmania is not that small. We're actually the same size of Switzerland or Hokkaido. So it actually takes a good 10 to 12 days if you really want to travel the whole island or via self-drive. And if you actually notice, what we like to call Tasmania also is a heart-shaped island. If you can see the outline there, we like to say that Tasmanians ourselves, we're full of heart. We've always got great stories to tell. So yeah. Okay, so let's talk a bit about the weather. This is actually a picture of the beautiful lavender estate in Tasmania. Now, this blooms in predominantly summer. That is in December, of course, in Australia. So spring and summer takes place from September to February, and those are the temperatures from about 12 degrees Celsius at night to the warmest in summer being 23 degrees Celsius. Obviously, everyone would know that the sun in Australia is very strong, so we always encourage sunscreen, but the weather is always beautiful in Tasmania. Now, the picture, like I said just now, is of the lavender fields. An interesting note actually is that we've got one of the largest single lavender estate in the world, or rather in Southern Hemisphere. And so when you come here, it's just hectares and hectares, beautiful lavender. And actually, in Australia, we've got really fresh air and really fresh water. That is actually one of the reasons for a lot of our fresh produce. So the species of lavender, if there are any sort of essential oil fanatics out in joining us tonight, is that this is actually French lavender. So once we harvest it, we actually send it back to France to sell it. And so that speaks volumes of the kind of quality, I think, when you can expect when you come to Tasmania. So in spring and summer, I was saying that you can experience the lavender, of course. There's also fruit picking. Just now, I think I heard Mabel and Cheryl talk about the cherries, and that is very popular during the spring and summer period. Now, the first time when I was there, I remember when I first saw the cherries, they were 3 times the size that we see in the supermarkets, and they're just everywhere. They're just on trees and and they've got apple trees and all that. It's the fresh produce is really abundant. It's beautiful. The other one that we have is also the Blooming Tulip Festival. So that all happens in spring and summer. Personally, I would recommend, if let's say you're going with family members, especially with like kids and maybe like even older seniors and everything, they might like the flower and the floral displays. The spring and summer typically is a great time to go. Okay, and then I'll bring you to autumn and winter. Now, autumn and winter is actually my favorite season. I understand, like, for me, even as I do like the outdoor hikes and all that, autumn is still a beautiful weather to walk in. I do love the gold, the red, the orange tones. In Tasmania, actually, in this picture, you are able to see what we call this quite a unique species to Tasmania. So it can only be found in Tasmania, called the fagus trees. Now, what happens is that in the month of April, these fagus trees actually change color. So some people like to call it sort of almost like the cherry blossom of Australia per se. So that a lot of people come down and take photographs from all over the world. It's actually quite a phenomenon. So if any of you are aspiring or rather photographers, you might want to consider coming down in April. It's beautiful weather to have a walk in the park, and take a trek on the hills. It's beautiful. So the weather that we're looking at ranges from 9 to 18 degrees in autumn, and then goes down to about 3 to 11 degrees. What happens during then in winter is that we've got lots of festivals going on. That includes Dark Mofo. So we have a very famous museum called Mona, Museum of Old and New Art in Tasmania. And part of what they do actually is to host the dark mofo. So it's dark and they've got fire burners everywhere and everyone's just celebrating. It's an arts festival, and together with that, it's actually Whiskey Week. So again, just now I think I was talking about the fresh, clean water and the clean air, and those are essential stuff to making really good whiskey. I will share more about whiskey later. That I think deserves a slide on its own, especially in winter. So self-drive. So the reason why we wanted to put this up front was that to really explain that the best way to get around Tasmania is through self-drive. Like I said earlier, right? To come around the whole island, to cover the whole island, I would still recommend about 10 to 12 days. So that you can comfortably explore the island. Some people might consider doing shorter trips, which is like maybe 6 days or so. And what would happen typically is that they would maybe, let's just say, fly down to Hobart and then fly off from Launceston or vice versa. So that's quite common as well, depending on how you want to do it. A lot of my friends and my peers and people that I know who goes to Tasmania, I can honestly say always think that they want a second trip back. There's always so much to do. It's not just checking off the boxes per se, but it's really taking your time to to relax and enjoy that slower pace of life. Every time I come back from Tasmania, it's always very hard to adjust actually. So yeah, so self-drive is the best way to get around. The other one of our sort of what we're known for is obviously our wilderness. About 40% of Tasmania is covered in wilderness, in forested areas, and these are actually UNESCO protected wilderness that we're talking about. What you see here actually is off this island called Maria Island, and they've got these beautiful golden cliffs that you can actually, I don't know if you can see my mouse, but when you stand, you're only about this high really. So you can climb down all the way to the bay itself. And when it's sunset, the entire rock and the entire scenery turns gold. The color is really gold and it reflects beautifully on the water as well. So yeah, that's and this is all sort of nature's work of art, of course, nothing man-made here. Some of you might already, I saw a comment just now about the overland trek and all that. So this is the kind of scenery that you can see in Tasmania. Very, very beautiful, very, very epic. Again, when I said just now earlier, when I travel to feel small, and when faced with such a scene and everything, it's really quite image to or memory to take back with you. Another thing is our wildlife as well. We're very, very, very protective of our wildlife. So what you see here is obviously a wallaby. I like to say that, when you go to Tasmania, you don't have to go to the animals will come to you. So you can be walking, or you can be cycling, or you can be kayaking, or anything, like the animals are all around. Now, it's really interesting because in Tasmania, we've got a lot of the endangered species on our island. Now, when Tasmania broke off from the main island many, many, many years ago, a lot of the endangered species stayed on our island that cannot be found in Tasmania, that cannot be found in the rest of Australia. Interestingly, though, if you've met anyone who's been to Tasmania, there are no koalas, like koala bears that obviously Australia is so known for. You can't find any in Tasmania. So it's very interesting how, nature works. Tassie devil, just now I saw a question about that. And yes, Tasmanian devils are really from Tasmania. We protect them a lot. Like I said earlier, a lot of these devils now, they've got a genetic disease called the facial cancer. And so, in Tasmania, it is very rare that you would really see zoos, where they are kept in captivity. Instead, what we try to do, we literally have a conservatory, a wildlife conservatory there called UNZOO. where we put you in the cage and the animals walk around you. And that's the kind of emphasis, I think, again, that we give to the wildlife, to give them as much space and as much freedom, and we have, as humans, have to recognize that we're walking into their habitat, and that's something I really actually appreciate when I go down to Tasmania. Heritage also, because of our geographical location, obviously, will be really, Tasmania was a really well guarded convict site or prison, for the offenders or the convicts, maybe about 3 generations ago. So now, if you actually go to Tasmania, a lot of the Tasmanian folks would be the 3rd or 4th generation of the convicts that were once housed at Port Arthur Heritage Site. So this is Port Arthur. This is actually one of Australia's, it is Australia's most well-preserved prison site. And what it is really is an open-air museum. You can easily spend 1 day there. If you actually get a ticket to go to Port Arthur, the ticket gives you 2 days of entry, and so you can really take in all the history, the culture, and it's a beautiful place to sort of walk around the grounds. So this is just a quick picture of what you can see. Inside there'll be plaques and everything that will tell you more about each building. Food and drinks. I feel like we're going through, so many reasons to go already, and we haven't even gone to like the main point. Food and drinks, what can I tell you? We're surrounded by deep waters, right? So like seafood really get foraged before your eyes, and so we've got this thing called the seafood seduction in Tasmania, and you sit on a boat and the divers go down and they get like sea urchins, abalone, oysters, and they come up to you, and you can feed off, you can eat off like fresh, or there's a chef on the boat that will cook for you, or you're drinking champagne. It's really once in a lifetime kind of experience. My personal tip is that before you get to the airport, please go and buy, one of those packaged abalone. I bought it back. I remember bringing it back for my family and then giving that during Chinese New Year, and it's the size of like my entire hand, and it's really quite worth it, considering how much you pay for abalone. So if you're there, definitely remember to buy some back. They are usually at wholesale prices. These are some of the other produce that we have. We've got the lobsters, the cherries, the strawberries. We're also very known for our truffle during winter. Scallops, leatherwood honey that we're giving away today. So I do hope that you guys are listening and liking and sharing. And I heard just now, that you get to walk home with or bring home the leatherwood honey that's really good for you. So yeah, we've also got really good quality beef and lamb as well. So this is a whiskey. It's almost 10 now. If you're not on your first glass of whiskey, I think you can start. We've got a lot of craft distilleries in Tasmania. Usually what we like to joke is that the men make the whiskeys and the wife sometimes makes the gin. So we've actually won Best Single Malt, in like 2 or 3 years ago. Some of the brands that you might have heard of is Bill Luck, for example. So Luck Distillery is really good. Sullivan's Cove as well. Helios Distillery. So these are some of the experiences you can go. Now again, because of clean air, clean water, the kind of the fermentation and the distilling is really a craft process in Tasmania. So when you're there, you can feel free to sort of come into the distillery, especially during Whiskey Week as well. That's when all the cellar doors open up, and sort of tell you the story. Now, this is obviously a picture, and I think what I want to sort of say here is that when you go to such experiences in Tasmania, because we're a small island in that sense, and a lot of it is family business, because like I say, we are just 3rd or 4th generation, right, from our first sort of forefathers in that sense landing in Tasmania. And so what happens is that the person who's pouring you the drink, or the person who's greeting you at the door, it's usually like a brother or sister or the daughter or the son of, of the actual maker, and the way they make their whiskey and all of that, it's usually, down the back door. And I think that's the nice thing, right? Like about traveling, we can tick off as many boxes as we want, climb as many mountains, and sail through as many seas, but nothing beats the fact that you found a genuine connection with people who are very passionate. I always love to hear like makers' stories. So yeah, so these are some of the, I guess, the food and drinks offerings that we have in Tasmania. Now, obviously, together with whiskey itself, we've also got really strong cider trails, beer trails. Are very good for our because we're a cooler climate, so we're very good for our Pinot Noirs, our Riesling, our sparkling as well. It's very different from the main state where you get heavier reds, like red wines. So in Tasmania, it's actually much lighter wines that you can bring home with you. Okay. And without further ado, and the whole reason why we are here is an Unordinary Adventures. We call it Unordinary because, the people who come to Tasmania to do all of these things, you must really love the wilderness. And that's the best thing I really think out of Tasmania. And hopefully I can share some stories with you later. Golf. So we've got 4 of the top ranking golf courses in Australia in our island, and you can see actually the best thing about playing golf in Tasmania is actually the ruggedness. I've actually been hosted a group of golfers, and these are like if I recall, they are golf editors, and so these are people who golf obviously play at different courses, and so they went out, and what happened was that it started raining and pouring and all that, and the guys who went golfing didn't come back, and so they came about an hour and a half later, and they were completely drenched wet, and I was so worried that they got stuck and all that. But it turns out they said they had the best golf experience of their life, and I think it's the ruggedness, the windiness, it's very different conditions, but that always makes a good story. So these golf courses are actually designed around very dramatic landscapes that's by the sea. Some of the, if you're interested in golfing, some of the names that are worth sort of noting down, we'll be happy to share with, I guess, Mabel and Cheryl as well, is like Cape Wincombe, for example. It sits number 3 on the top golf courses, and they're usually located on King Island, which is a little sort of piece of land that's just above Tasmania. Okay, so a good thing to know is that they do also have accommodation options on the golf course lah. Fly fishing. So this is another reason why people come to Tasmania. Now, I know of some very passionate sort of fly fishers out there. And what we're really known for is the purest strain of wild brown trout in Tasmania. Now, our wild trout stocks are in the wild places are actually self-sustaining, so it does bring a lot of thrill for the hunt fly fishers. And the crystal waters also, they actually bring the trout closer to the angler, so that the fish is clearly visible. So all of these different conditions make it a really ideal place for fishing enthusiasts to come to Tasmania. Okay, mountain biking. We will talk about this in a bit, and then we will obviously talk about cycling as well. So there are trails within the Tasmanian wilderness. Again, we protect our wilderness, our wildlife a lot. So a lot of the trails that you will see, they're actually very well protected. So they're very well designed to sort of cut across the wilderness, but not destroy so much of nature at the same time. So the mountain biking comes in very different levels depending on where you are in Tasmania. But very much so, they are also very accessible, for people who want to try the treks. Okay, so one of the most popular one would be Blue Derby Mountain Trail biking. Okay. They do host a lot of global sort of competitions also in Tasmania. So this is just some of the scenery that you will see. All right. I also saw a question just now before we started the presentation, whether it's possible to cycle throughout the whole island. It is. I think it will be quite a pretty long journey, but it is, I think, possible. So we've got stunning scenery, as you guys can already tell, and really very lightly traffic roads. So it's actually very convenient and very safe, most importantly, to cycle around the island. Now, there are itineraries that you can look out online and everything. And so just to give you an idea, from Launceston to Hobart, which is the two cities over here, it takes about via the East Coast. So over here, the blue line here, that's about 430 kilometers. Yeah, so it's about a week itinerary if you take your time, and it's the most direct route, I think, to get around Tasmania, to see especially the seaside, the sea views, enjoy seafood, and come to some of the national parks. Okay, so I'll just show you guys some examples of the scenery that you can expect in Tasmania where you cycle along the East Coast. So this is Maria Island. The other side of it, as you can tell, Maria Island's got a lot of heritage, and like the painted cliffs and all that I showed just now. But above that, if you guys are familiar with wombats, I like to call this the Malibu for wombats. As you walk around, the wombats are just everywhere. There are hundreds and hundreds of them. Now, we obviously don't advocate that you touch them because we have to protect them. But it's easy to get a close up selfie. Let's just put it that way. Right down by the pier and everything. Until now, you can actually see like whale bones where they used to do like whaling and all of that. So Maria Island is one beautiful place that you can do day cycling. You can rent a bicycle at Maria Island itself, and actually do a day tour almost like that in Maria Island. Obviously, accommodation is also available there. Bay of Fires, some of you might have heard of this. Now, Bay of Fires is actually, they're called that because of the big boulders with the orange hue on them. Now, this is also one of the most well-known places in Tasmania, can be found on the East Coast. Okay. Look at the vast amount of ocean. Does make you miss just being out there, in the open, doesn't it? And Tasmania's never, or rather Australia's never complete without a barbecue. So here are some pictures of some lobsters, some of the fresh produce you can get along the East Coast. So I always tell people, if you like to see the ocean and all that, the best way is the East Coast. That's where you can get all your different seafood as well. Do even your different sea spots. The East Coast is actually the best place to go. In Tassie, the best oysters, we like to say, is taken off, the boulder, not served for any white plate. But if any of you are interested, we do have sharking sort of like workshops where you can actually put on these waders, like this gentleman is wearing. You put on the waders, you go down the water. It's an actual working oyster farm. They'll give you champagne and sparkling and all that. You can drink, and then they'll even teach you how to like shark your own oysters. Okay, this is Devil's Corner, just like a winery for you to have a look. Okay, and now we'll go to the West Coast. So today I will cover the East Coast and West Coast, just because it's a different kind of scenery that you can expect. So East Coast, like I told you earlier, that's where you go to see the ocean view. Now the West Coast is a bit different, as you can possibly imagine. It's very mild beaches, but then what you get instead is a lot of rugged, mountainous, and completely wild sort of scenery. Okay, so this is the kind of views that you will see there. A lot of hilly terrain, mountains, of course. We call them the Western Wilderness. Okay. So these are the kind of tracks that you'll be cycling through if you're interested. Okay. And we go into walking. I understand that a lot of us here are very interested in walking. There's a wide selection of iconic walks in Tasmania. It's really what we call a walking mecca in Tasmania. So these trails, again, are built within the World Heritage Wilderness area. Okay. In Tasmania, we've got this thing called the 60 Great Short Walks. Okay, so these walks range from anything from 20 minutes all the way to multi-day walks, right? You know, you can easily access any of this as long as you get like one of the national park pass that you can just put on your car or for yourself. And you can go all around. So just now we talked about the East Coast side, right? Over here, you can see the Painted Cliffs is here. We talked about Wineglass Bay, you know, so all of it's here. And then the Western Wilderness here. So a lot more bush, a lot more lakes that are in this area. Obviously, if let's say you want to do something more accessible, there's always the Hobart and surrounds that you can go to. They are still very sort of easy for beginners to go through. Okay, so there's 60 great short walks, 20 minutes all the way to multi-days. So there's something for everyone actually. Okay, so this is an example of the Three Capes trek. All right, so depending on how you want to go, there are always options. So you can go by yourself or you can be a guided tour. All of that can be arranged. When you go on the Three Capes walk, it's usually like a 4-day, 3-night or 3-day, 2-night, depending on the route that you take. Now, accommodation are available on site as well, depending on how you choose to travel or choose to sort of find your own adventure on these treks. Okay. So here's some examples. So this is a view of one of the capes actually. So the Three Capes walk is actually a trek that's made up of visiting all the 3 capes that's along the coastal area in Tasmania. And one more picture, just to show you, it's beautiful, the light that shines on the water and the mountainous areas. This is Crater Mountain. I think someone just now spoke about the overland trek. So this is how it looks like. This is obviously taken in autumn. Beautiful again, that golden rush hour kind of golden hour, you know, of all the leaves and all the foliage. Beautiful hills. This is Wineglass Bay. So this is one of the more touristy one per se, you know, where you can climb about, I would say, an hour and a half to and fro to go to the lookout and take like, you know, sort of the popular selfie photos. But there is also a half-day walk where you can climb down the mountain all the way to this beach over here. Yeah, on the foreground that you can see. Now the reason why it's called a Wineglass Bay is because from the top it does look at like the like wine glass. Yeah. So yeah, so that's a quick overview of what we have today. I would like to end off the presentation. Of course, we'll have a lot more time for questions. I think that's what I love as well. I just wanted to end a quote actually by a Tasmanian photographer, and I think for many of us that are tuning in today or tonight will particularly understand this feeling. You know, so the quote goes, "When you go out there into the wilderness, you don't get away from it all. You actually get back to it all. You come home to what is important, and you come home to yourself." And I think this really perfectly summarizes a trip to Tasmania. You know, like I said earlier and during my presentation, it's not about how many things I do. I know, how many things I eat and everything, but it's really being present, and being almost still and, enjoying and savoring every moment, and just really winding down. I like to tell people that when they go to Tasmania, once you get there, I feel like because the fresh air fills your lungs and all that, you just kind of disconnect from the rest of the world for a few days. But after that, when you come back, you start to feel like that you've actually reconnected also with what's important think specifically right now with the COVID-19 situation, all of us are stuck at home, and I know that we're dreaming of places to go and everything. Now, I feel like Tasmania gives that it's almost an antidote or medicine, for especially our busy or stressful lifestyles, in Singapore. So yes, if any of you are interested to find out more, do get in touch with us. Mabel and Cheryl will be happy to help you guys out as well. And I'll be happy to sort of do any questions now if you guys have.
Thank you, Bless.
No worries.
Thank you for the presentation. We have so many questions that is coming in.
Okay. Slowly, one by one.
Yeah. Now that you say it, then I realized that Tasmania is huge.
It is. Everyone thinks very small because actually we always forget that Australia is one of the biggest continents, right? In the world. So when Tasmania's put next to it, we look super small, but actually, like, it still takes a good 1.5 weeks. I think I safely say to come down to Tasmania and fully explore the whole island.
Yeah, especially when you put it into comparison, like it's actually the same size of Switzerland or even the prefecture of Hokkaido. Then we were like, wow, it's actually huge.
Yeah, it is. It's huge, and because I was telling one of my friends, like, she was thinking of coming to Tasmania, this whole thing, right? And it's like, actually social distancing is not a problem because when you travel there, it feels like you're touring the island by yourself. That's how much vast space that they have. And I think that's the nice thing about it.
Yeah, I think like even if you tell us that it's peak season in Tasmania, but when we reach there, it's like, where are all the people?
Correct.
Yeah, that's good. Maybe shall I go through the poll first before we answer the questions? Okay. So while Bless is presenting earlier on, we actually throw out 4 questions while you are presenting. So the first question we asked was, isn't the Tasmania devil cute? And then we have 68% of them agree that the actual animal is cuter than the cartoon. Yeah. And then the second questions we ask is, beach cycling, shall we? Because we look at the stunning pictures of the beach with the bicycle, it looks so good, Yeah, so 81% of the audience say yes, it will be very stunning to cycle along the beach. Then this is the third question, is my favorite. Fresh oysters, lobster BBQ on the beach, wine with a view. Who wants? This one is a hands me down. 95% say definitely me.
Very nice.
Yeah, and then the last question is, who wants to go on walks in Tasmania? 91% of the audience say yes, for sure.
Oh, that's great. That's good to hear. I'm really happy that you guys do sort of fall in love as well with Tasmania. Before I sort of started this whole thing, I've done different treks in different places or different countries also. In Tasmania, I think also because you don't know much about it, so when you get there, it's overwhelming. I don't know if you guys have the same feeling. Sometimes when you go to destinations that are that you see a lot in movies and everything, when you go there, it's actually quite like that only, like quite underwhelming. So it's always nice when you go somewhere that's unexpected. It's like watching a movie you've never heard before. So when you get there, it's like, wow, it actually like blows your mind in that sense.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's better to be amazed than underwhelmed when you travel.
Yeah.
True, yeah.
Okay, maybe I'll touch on some of the earlier questions that because some of the questions Bless has already addressed during the presentation. But we have one question from Angeline, very interesting. She's asking, what is the average affordable price of one abalone in Tasmania?
Okay. Wow. Okay. So I've actually, like I'm very Singaporean. So when I go there, right, I stand there for half an hour and I look and compare all the different avenues. I'm very careful, so I can answer your question properly. Okay. So when you get there, right, primarily there are 3 different types of abalone that you can buy. Okay. One, right, is the one that they just vacuum seal. right? One, I think, I mean, for comparison, maybe you cannot like basically the size of around my palm lah, huh? I bought it for maybe about $60. Then the bigger it goes, 60 to 80 lah. So that's fine. And then the other one that they sell that is slightly more, I guess, affordable, but because it's been brined, right? It's the one in the can. Now, Tasmania's abalone diving rules are very strict. So usually you go to some countries, or when you buy abalone, there are a few heads in a can. In Tasmania, when you buy one can, it's one head. So so you can imagine that's the size of the abalone, yeah. So that goes for a bit cheaper. And then the last one, which is supposed to be the best in quality, are the ones that are dehydrated. Now these ones, you buy as a gift lah, of course, right? But what happens is that when you get back to Singapore, you know, wherever you are from, then you have to hydrate it back again. And so the abalone, the dehydrated one are quite small, but when they grow to 3 times the size. So those are slightly more expensive. So I would say maybe $60 to about $100 lah. Like, you know, obviously you can buy the 200-300 depending on the species and all that. But if you buy home, $60 can already lah. You don't want to be robbed on the way back to Singapore.
I will go to the airport to welcome Angeline.
Every time we see the flight from Tasmania, we were standing at the airport waiting.
So same thing from Angeline, she's also asking like, you know, how we call Tasmania Tassie. So is it offensive if we call the locals staying there Tassie as well?
Oh no. I think like if you guys are quite familiar with the Australian culture, our culture, we like to short form everything. Barbecue is called barbie. Afternoon is called avo, you know, so there's always like, you know, short form. So it's fine. I think it's fine. Actually, one of the domestic campaign like on social media, if you see on Instagram, it's called Tassie style. So that's how it's called travel, the Tasmanian way of life. So it's not offensive to call them Tassie.
Okay. And we have Jaren. Jaren is like a massive fan of Tasmania. So he was sharing about the best things about Tasmania. It's not only the scenery, but also the people, friendly local folks, different from the mainland, like his stories of his own experience.
Let's say all Australians are nice people. We're all very friendly.
And he gave a top tip also. He say for free viewing of the penguin, you can go to northern Tasmania to have a look at it. Is that true, Bless?
Yeah, so there are different kind of spots in Tasmania that you can go to, you know. Again, because there are a lot of spots, and so wilderness and everything is quite available. So you don't have to go on a guided tour, you know what I mean? But it's just that obviously when you go on a guided tour, they will know which burrow to look into, and you know, and all of that. But generally, like for example, the one I went to in the Maria Island, right? So I stayed overnight there, and so what happens is from your cottage, you just walk down the beach and you just shine your phone, the torchlight.
Yeah.
When you get on the beach, there's like animals running around because they're just abundant, you see. So they're accessible lah. Of course, I will still say you go by a guide is more guaranteed, you know. But if not, they're just everywhere. Yeah.
Jaron was also saying that the best time to visit the Bay of Fires is during sunset. You know, where you can see the orange glow, and then you get to see people cycle along the coastal roads there, similar to like the Great Ocean Road, but with lesser people.
Yeah, correct. For sure, yeah. The Bay of Fires is it's a natural phenomenon, but it's quite rare to come by. So a very good place to take very photogenic selfies and all of that lah.
So Adeline has a question. She was asking, which coast is more popular among tourists, the East Coast or the West Coast? And then we have Eugene replying her, sharing that the East Coast is most popular for first-timers because of the amazing seafood. And then the West Coast is for those who wish to explore the mountains and the forests.
Correct. So I think just now you brought up the Great Ocean Road. So the East Coast is almost like the Great Ocean Road, you know, it's more popular, you know, you go there, you have the 12 Apostles, and we have Bay of Fires. It's more touristy per se. I do find that the people who are more adventurous do tend to try the West Coast a lot more. So an example, right, is that personally, I'm a big fan of water rafting. In Tasmania itself, they've got this sport called canyoning. Have you all heard about it before?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Canyoning,
correct.
yeah.
So that's actually, you know, some of those activities are actually found on the West Coast Crater Mountain, that side. So same like mountain biking and all that. It's more hilly terrain. So because of that, the playground is more adventurous, you know. So yeah, so depending on how you go. On the West Coast also, there's this thing called the Gordon Dam, and it's actually the deepest dam in Australia that you can go to try abseiling. You know, all
okay.
adventurous stuff lah. But definitely the East Coast is more popular for first timers or tourists.
Okay.
Yeah,
Good
and
advice.
may
Thank
I
you.
add, if we are talking about cycling, right, definitely the East Coast would be a better choice for leisure cyclists compared to the West Coast, because West Coast you're actually cutting through the forest, so there are more altitude, and
Yeah.
then it's more for mountain biking. So East Coast
Yeah.
is definitely a better choice for leisure cyclists.
That's right. Yeah. Thank you very much, Cheryl.
So Bless, we have a question for Faustina asking for your advice when it comes to the walking tracks, right? What is your advice for single traveler, lone traveler, or is it better, like, you know, safer to do it in a group?
I think for multi-day walks, in particular, which I assume that this question is for, I would still say to go in the group, because once you go into multi-day walks, right, then obviously you will need supplies and all of that. And if you're not very familiar with bush walking, which is the kind of environment in Tasmania, then you might need someone to help take care of you and all of that lah. So I mean, it's also good, you know, because it's multi-day and all that, to have company, I guess, or have someone look out for you.
Yeah.
However, what some people also like to do is that because this multi-day walk, right? So it can happen like you come to Hobart and you stay for 2 nights, 3 nights, you know, explore the weekend markets and everything. And then like on a certain day, you know, we can arrange for people to come and pick you up, and then you go and live on that multi-day trek for like 3-4 days, then you come back to the city lah. You know, so that's also possible. But in those cases, it will still very much be a group format. Yeah, but then obviously on the accommodation itself, you can choose to stay on your own and everything lah. That's no problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, I want to say more glamping lah.
Yeah. Okay, Adeline is asking, how many days would you recommend for a trip to Tasmania? 1 week, the minimum, or longer?
So I would say the minimal, it will still be about, minimally still try to set aside about 5 to 6 days. Now, 5 to 6 days, like I said just now, you can cover one side of the island. So if you're coming in from the north side, Launceston, you travel down and then you fly out from the south, or the other way around, right? Where you land in Hobart, south side, go up the Crater Mountain and then fly out from the north. Now, if you want to cover the whole island, right, I would still say about 8 to 10 days, if you will. Actually, a lot of people, if you saw the images just now, a lot of people do compare it to New Zealand as well. You know, if you go to New Zealand, you usually want to do the North and South Island, right? So that takes about at least 14 days. That's how, you know, we like to plan it. You know, I would say for Tasmania, shorter duration than that, because the bigger difference, I guess, is that when in New Zealand you tend to have to drive a lot. Yeah, in Tasmania, because we are more compact, so between places to places, about 45-minute drive, you know, you get there already.
That's not too far.
So actually, as I guess as a guide, right, if we have these two cities, which is Hobart and Launceston, and then you have Crater Mountain and the East Coast, right? Now, if you were to travel to any of these points, straight driving is actually about 2.5 hours. Straight driving lah, don't stop at all. So you know, it's just between the attractions, you don't have to spend so much time, so you get a lot more done.
Okay. Wahib is also asking, you know, with such landmass beside Hobart, which other 3 places would you recommend?
Okay, number 1, I would say, from my presentation, you can tell I'm a big fan of Maria Island. I like to, I call again the Malibu for one bed, but it's not just that, it's the idea of an island off an island off an island. So Maria Island off Tasmania, there's an island, off Australia, there's an island. you know, and the whole idea of it, right, seems pretty cool to me. But it's also a combination again of that heritage story, the Aboriginal culture that you can still track there. The wildlife, obviously, and the scenery, and the trekking, and the cycling, lah. So I really like that. So I would really recommend Maria Island. The other one that I would actually recommend also is which we didn't cover this time round. Is actually the northwest side. So there is for the foodies out there, the freshest produce of Tasmania actually come from the northwest side because of the position and everything. So the lamb and the beef, the high quality one, you can find them actually in Singapore called Cape Grim, usually quite expensive lah. But then that's also the northwestern side is also recorded the cleanest air in the world. So if you're actually big on like the farm gate experience, meaning to say I drive 5-10 minutes, I reach one farm, and then I go on visit vineyards and all that. The cradle to coast tasting trail would be something I recommend as well. So the cradle to coast meaning Cradle Mountain to the north coast lah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's one. And the other favorite I would say is the Huon Valley area. Yeah, so there's this on the southern side. You can visit Huon Valley or even Bruny Island. Or actually, I'll talk about Bruny Island. Now, if you don't have as much time, but you are, let's just say, going to Melbourne or Sydney to visit a family or friend, I would recommend you go to Bruny Island. Now, you can drive and then park your car on a ferry, and it's like maybe a 45-minute ferry ride. While you're sitting in the car, you can get out and walk around. But if you don't have time to visit the whole of Tasmania, in Bruny Island is a self-contained mini test, like I would like to call it. So the inside down there got like one chocolate farm, one cheese farm, one honey farm. You can still do a bit of trekking down there. So it's a bit of everything. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, correct. So it's quite nice. Like it's almost like the Pulau Ubin to Singapore in that sense, right? But Tassie. So you can go there and you can still have the whole experience lah, without losing much. That is if you only have like maybe 2 nights to spare.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And we have a question from Peter. He's saying that he heard you can view the Southern Lights in Tasmania. When would be the best time to view it?
Okay, so yes, that's right. There are a lot of sightings of the Southern Lights in Tasmania. Again, we are on the southernmost point of the Southern Hemisphere, right? So again, I think at the start, everyone always says there's no guarantee. But I do know that the Southern Lights are much harder to spot than the Northern Lights. So that's the other point to note. However, in answering your question, thanks a lot, Peter, for your question. Let's talk about the weather first. So a lot of people have the misconception that the best place to view is actually in winter because the nighttime is longer. Yeah. But in winter also comes cloudier skies. So what I usually recommend is to come during autumn period where it's still relatively long, but the skies are clearer. Yeah. Okay. So I do know of one photographer who always goes down to Tasmania. She was quite lucky to have caught it quite earlier on. But one of the best places, so I heard, is on the southern side of it. So just now I talked a bit about Huon Valley. That area, yeah. So there has been reported of more sightings there lah. Yeah, correct. So
okay.
Yeah. So southern side of Tasmania, I would recommend in autumn period. Okay. If you're interested, actually, there are also Facebook groups that I personally also join as well, where they will share sightings. So, I don't know if people really like to see.
Yeah, okay. Because Southern Lights is one of the more underrated. Not many people actually promote Southern Lights as compared to the Northern Light. One of the reasons is also the sighting of the Southern Light is not as easy as compared to the North. Yeah. So that is one of the reasons why it wasn't really hugely promoted.
Correct.
Okay, we have a question from Jaren. He's asking, for first timers to Tasmania, most will likely do the Great Eastern Drive. What about the west side? I mean, is it recommended to tour that region? And if yes, what can they do there?
So for the western side, thanks Sharon for the question. For the western side, like I said earlier, it's really for I think the more adventurous at heart, you know. But the other sort of more touristy thing is to explore from Cradle Mountain to the west, which is really like the Strawn area. So when you go to that area, you actually can do very quiet cruises over there. So there are big lakes, right? Like I said just now in my presentation. So there are very big still lakes where it's almost like mirror image, you know, of like the mountains. So yeah, so you can do quite a few cruises down there as well. Yeah, so that's the west side. Other than that, there's also quite a bit of small towns that you can explore on like the mining history and all of that also.
Okay. And Waib is asking whether can we bring food into Tasmania? Is it as strict as mainland Australia?
Yes, I think we do subscribe to the same adhere to the same rules in Australia. If not, actually it's more legit because you have to stop by Melbourne or
Yeah.
and then they'll transit again to Tasmania. But don't need to bring food lah. Down there got a lot of food. You eat until you'll be scared.
I guess especially if you like seafood, my goodness, it will be like galore.
Correct.
So Colin is asking whether for self-drive it's better to rent a car or camper van. And then Eugene has kindly replied to him that he recommended the car because the attractions are usually only 2 to 3 hours away in terms of journey, and you can find very comfortable accommodations, you know, on the mainland itself without having to rent a camper van. Okay.
Waib has a question about drone.
Yes. Can we fly drone or is video taking on drone allowed in Tasmania?
Okay. They are only allowed at specific places, but you do have to apply for a permit. I have tried, and it's a pretty long process. It's a pretty long process. In Tasmania, there's a lot of emphasis again on the stillness of nature and all that. So you do have to apply for permits.
Okay.
Okay.
And Faustina is asking whether are there any Aborigines tribes in Tasmania?
There are no Aboriginal tribes per se, not now in Tasmania. I believe there are cultural centers that you can visit. Actually, one really interesting one that you guys might want to consider is this walk called Wukalina Walk. Now, Wukalina is actually an Aboriginal word. And it's a really interesting walk for people who are interested in culture and history as well. So it's about a 4-day, 3-night walk that you can take, and this is actually guided by the Aboriginals in Tasmania. So they've actually mocked up what Aboriginals were, or they modernized like modern sort of huts, you know, of what they used to or what they lived in that sense. And so they're beautiful architecture. But what happens is that in that 4-day, 3-night, they will also expose you to their culture, meaning to say the kind of food that they will eat, they will also share with you. So it's really a more cultural exchange or experience. So you're more gamey, mutton burger, you know. So it's different for everyone. I do know usually the Westerners especially do like this kind of experience. So that's called the Wukalina Walk lah.
Okay. That's very interesting. Have you blessed yourself? Have you been on such walks? You know?
Yes, we've done, like I see just now there's 60 short walks. So I've done quite a couple. So I've done Maria Island. I have done the one at Cradle. So actually the one at Cradle, it's accessible. So if there are any like newbies here, I did not the overland trek, just the day walk itself, and then I come back and sort of sleep at Cradle Mountain, the accommodation there. I think I did the walk when I was like 7 months pregnant. It was actually I didn't know what I was getting into lah. You know, sometimes you just chong away. So I actually did it when I was like, I think 7 months pregnant. I remember that time when I fly back to Singapore, I couldn't fly back out already. So anyway, so I did that walk. So the terrains for Cradle Mountain, specifically around like the touristy areas, like, you know, in the day walk side, they're not very steep. So it's absolutely okay.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. Good to know you are so adventurous also.
Yeah,
you know?
that's right.
Oh,
That's our spirit, do first,
Yeah.
consider later.
Okay, I think we more or less covered the questions. If we have missed out any of the questions, we will get in touch with you via the comments later on. Just one very last info to share by William. He was sharing a very interesting fact that the western side is the honor for the tidy town of Australia, Stanley in 1996 and Smithton in 2018. Both are near to each other and they look like English small town.
They do.
Yeah. And for what we know, William has been on a backpacking trip to Tasmania many years back. So yeah.
Actually it's very interesting because the different towns that you go in Tasmania, you can actually you realize that the architecture and how the houses are built are very different. Some are Victorian-ish, and it's really the influence of the English actually. So you're right, William. Thanks so much for sharing.
Okay, so yeah. Let me just go through the last final few slides with everybody. So once again, just to recap where you can find all our trips on Australia is under our website www.travel-wonder.com. Search under Destination Australia. Do remember to continue to like, share, and comment because we have 2 cans of Tasmanian leatherwood honey to be given away, courtesy of Tourism Tasmania. For our midweek chatter with Wonder Girls, next week we are taking a break, so we'll be back on 24th June, Wednesday at 3:30 p.m. Stay tuned for the updates. Same thing for our Weeknights with Wonder Girls. We'll be taking a break next week, but you'll be back on the 26th June, Friday at 9:30 p.m. Celebrate National Day with us. We have our range of cycling jerseys for National Day up on our website. You can view the collection on our website under TW Shop. We are enrolled in the National Sports Challenge. So if you are keen to join us on our trip, to join our team, just Cheryl will be typing out the link onto our comments so you can join us. We have 2 teams registered, Travel Wonder Buddies and Travel Wonder Kakis. So when you register, remember to key in our team code. We remain contactable on our website at www.travel-wonder.com and also WhatsApp at +65 8714 3321. Remember to save our number into your contact. Thank you so much for joining us today. We hope you enjoyed the presentation to Tasmania as much as we did. And thank you so much, Bless, for spending your Friday night with us.
No worries, it's a lot of fun. I really hope that you guys make some time to come down to Tasmania, obviously when the situation allows. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, take care of each other.
Yes. And shall we take a group photo before we log off?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Off on camera. 1, 2, 3. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you.
For joining us.
Have a good weekend.
Have a
Bye-bye.
good weekend. Bye.